Blessed Thursday, dear friends of Christ. It's great to be here today. Pray that your day and week are going well. We are on location. I am here at the doctor's office. Before I go in, I wanted to make sure that I got this done, but you'll probably get it afterwards. We continue on in our journey, and we make our final stop today on our journey through the readings for this coming Sunday. And if you remember, we begin a sermon series on the book of Romans for the next month and a half or so, which again, that sermon series title is Held by Christ, Sent into the World. And our, I wouldn't say theme, but the title of this week's sermon is Mercy That Chooses. And I'm really glad that we actually saved the gospel reading for today, because it's a really good springboard into what we see, or what we'll really see come Sunday with our sermon text. So here we have, we're in Matthew chapter 14. We're looking specifically at verses 13 through 21, which that's the account where Jesus feeds the 5,000. But what we need to do is what I want you to do is I want you to read verse 13 just really quickly, and I'll read it for you. It says, "Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself." So now you wouldn't know, if just reading this by itself, you wouldn't really know when Jesus heard what. When Jesus heard what? Well, when Jesus heard that John the Baptist was killed. Herod had killed John the Baptist. He beheaded him, right? And so Jesus, that's his cousin, right? John the Baptist was the forerunner, was his cousin. And Jesus knew, right, that he had that his mission had been complete. That John has, I don't seem so callous and say that served his purpose, but John's role was fulfilled, and now Jesus' role as bringing the kingdom of God to people is now in full swing. You know, and when you think about when you lose a loved one, you know, someone you care for deeply, it's hard to even imagine trying to think straight, or even to really continue on and sharing the good news, or being around a lot of other people. We know we shouldn't be alone, but being around hundreds and thousands of people, that just seems crazy for us to do, right? It just seems crazy. And yet, look what happens in our text. And I haven't got to the verse that I want us to really focus on. But Jesus, but it gets to it. But Jesus goes to this desolate place, and people follow. People follow. They follow him. Some of them may have even beat him to where he was going, right? But they followed him. and they didn't leave him alone, right? And now you're probably thinking, like, man, I just want to be alone. And yeah, you think Jesus would want to be alone, but look at what happens next. And here's where it's so important, where it says, 14 says, "When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion on them, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick." Now, compassion, when we think of that word, it's like, oh, we feel for you, we care for, you're important to us, right? We're sad that you're sad, we're comforting you. And yet that's really not the way that what Jesus is saying here. What the literal translation is, his gut moved. His gut moved. He cared so much that his insides were coming out. And thinking about that, and thinking about how our title of the sermon is Mercy That Chooses. See, Jesus chose to share the kingdom of God with over 5,000 men, plus we aren't talking about women and children. He chose them. He knew that they were like sheep without a shepherd. He knew that they were lost. He knew that they were starving for spiritual food. They probably were starving for other food too, because again, desolate place, not a lot of places to eat. A lot of them probably didn't bring a lot of food with them. But Jesus has this compassion for them. Now the disciples, some of them are like, they don't have the same compassion, right? They just send them off. Send them into the town so that they get food. And Jesus says, no, you feed them. Literally says, they need not go away. You give them something to eat. And this is where, again, Jesus shows them that he cares. He shows this compassion when he takes the food that the disciples have, 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and blesses them to the point where there's more than enough for everybody to eat. You can talk about compassion, that your gut being moved, literally. Is that the kind of compassion that we show for others? Think about it. Is that how we reflect the love of God, or God's mercy to those in our lives today who may be struggling, who may be hurting, who may be having issues? Think about it. See, we are held by Christ through every affliction, every trial, every temptation. And he uses those moments in our lives to be his witnesses. We can feel like failures, but that's not what it's about. We are redeemed. We are forgiven. That's why the cross has removed every obstacle for us. The cross and the empty tomb has removed all those things. And we are now set free to love others, to share that same compassion that Jesus did with these people here, to remind them that they are loved, that they are chosen by God the Father, and that they too may have this life that we live. That doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. It just means that we can rest in his hope and full assurance. So my encouragement today, friends, would be just to continue in knowing who you are, whose you are, that you're held by Christ, and that he sends you into the world to have your gut move for those around you, those that he places in your life, so that they too may know that mercy has chosen them, and that they are forever loved by their eternal King. Peace and blessings. We'll see you on Sunday.